Hey everybody, welcome back to rotocurve.com. I'm Josh Collacchi and we're here to discuss week 4 on FanDuel's NFL slate. We're going to talk about tight end. We've already discussed quarterbacks, running backs, wide receivers. You can find all those on the rest of this channel. And be sure to go over to rotocurve.com and look at all the free articles we have, a bunch of different analysts, free tools, lots of data and statistics you can use to make your daily fantasy research one more fun and a lot more enjoyable for you, and hopefully make you cash a little bit more in most of your contests. So without further ado, let's get into our tight end picks for this week. It's going to be a big week for tight end because there's no Rob Gronkowski. Of course, this year, for the most of the time that the Patriots play, he's just going to be a plug-and-play at tight end, simply because there really is no other rival that can amass his amount of production. So with this week, there is no Gronk, so we're going to have to dig in a little bit. There are no top-tier receivers or top-tier tight ends for me this week, simply because Gronk is not an option. Of course, that's a good thing because that means that you're not going to have to pick Gronk in your cash games to match everybody else. So you don't have to worry about that issue, and you can really go with the tier 2 or tier 3 tight end this week because most of them are cheap on FanDuel. My top tier 2 tight end, and the guy we'll probably be using the most of in cash games, is Greg Olson at 6,300 for the Carolina Panthers. Olson is one of the fewer tight ends in the NFL that leads his team in targets and will lead his team in targets for the foreseeable future. And that's simply because the Panthers really don't have anyone else. They signed Corey Brown. They drafted Devin Funchess. They have Ted Ginn there as a deep threat. But Olson is the main focal point of that passing game. And make no mistake about it, we've seen 25 targets from him in the last 2 weeks. Now, in week 4, he faces the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who have been good against tight ends so far this season, allowing just 84 yards and a touchdown. But you have to go and look at the games that they played and the tight ends that they faced. In week 1, Delaney Walker caught 3 catches on 3 targets for 41 yards and a touchdown. And the other 2 weeks, they faced teams that really did not use their tight ends much. We're looking at the Saints and the Texans. So considering the Bucs haven't seen a tight end like Greg Olson, other than Delaney Walker, the Titans don't use him very much. I'm looking for Olson to be that first tight end that kind of goes off on the Bucs, and I think it will be a trend that we'll see in this year. Obviously, there's going to be 2 matchups with Olson and the Bucs, so be sure to keep this in mind for the future. I do like Olson pretty much every week. The only reason I haven't been able to use him is Gronkowski's been in my lineup, so I don't think you can stay away from him at this point. But the fact is, he's not playing, so Olson's the top guy this week. And considering the targets he has at a scarce position like tight end, he's definitely my top pick for cash games. The other guy I wanted to just consider in the top tier is Jason Witten. He makes more of a tournament play for me simply because his value really relies on touchdowns. But at tight end, who else doesn't rely on that value? Now, in tier 3, there are 2 guys I wanted to discuss that I really like. And I was hoping that the one guy was going to be my top option, and that's Martellus Bennett. But he's not my top option this week because it doesn't look like Jay Cutler is going to be back. So Jimmy Clausen's going to be throwing passes to him. The reasons why I do like Martellus Bennett this week, though, he has that top-tier matchup against the Raiders. And we've seen what the Raiders have done, or what they've allowed to tight ends in the first 3 weeks of the season. 305 yards and 5 touchdowns to that position, which is really an absurd number, especially considering the fact that there really aren't many good tight ends in the NFL in terms of catching passes. And the Raiders have given up a touchdown or 2 in every week so far this season. So considering Bennett is one of the better pass-catching tight ends in the NFL, he has that great matchup, and it makes for a good play. But with Jimmy Clausen throwing in the ball, I'm not sure I can use him in cash games, but he will be one of my top tournament options. The other guy I like is Charles Clay this week against I guess he faces the Giants, but he plays for the Bills now. He keeps switching around the AFC East. Kind of hard to remember. But the one thing about this Bills team, there's no Sean McCoy. There's no Sammy Watkins. So Charles Clay is likely to see a boost in red zone targets, and that's what we're looking for from a cheap tight end. Charles Clay is just 5,200 on FanDuel. We're looking for a possible tight end opportunity to score a touchdown, and that's exactly what he has. He scored in the last 2 weeks, and, of course, his price is going to be very attractive at just $700 above the minimum. And as we just mentioned, with Watkins and McCoy out, he's going to see a lot of red zone opportunities. And he faces a Giants team that has allowed the 4th most fantasy points to opposing tight ends this season. So he has a good matchup. He's going to see an uptick in usage. And at that price, he's worth slotting into your GPP lineups, and you'll be able to afford pretty much anything else you want in your FanDuel lineups. That wraps up our segment this week for tight ends. So be sure, once again, to go to rotocurve.com, check out all the free tools, all the articles, everything you can use to your advantage to hopefully make week 4 a profitable one at NFL DFS. Good luck, everybody.